Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya, and welcome to another episode of TFiR Let's Talk. And today we have with us once again Li Kang, but this time VP of Strategy at StarRocks. Lee, it's great to have you back on the show.
Good to see you again, Swap.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
it's my pleasure. Since you joined StarRocks, and this is the first time I'm talking to StarRocks. So, first of all, tell us quickly about the company. What do you folks do?
Sure. Uh, the founding members of StarRocks were on the Doris project before, and they had the vision of bring Doris to the next level to make a world-class analytical database. So in 2020, they started StarRocks, and today, majority of the StarRocks code, actually more than 80% of StarRocks code, are newly developed by the StarRocks team, right? So the goal is to build a true world-class analytical database that can support real-time analytics as well as a batch-based analytics workload. And the company was, the project started in 2020, May 2020, and in a little bit over 2 years, we have gained about 500 companies are using our products, and about 110, 120 of them are enterprise customers. Some of our large flagship customers, including Airbnb, Tencent, Lenovo, the large data-driven internet companies in different industries.
You did touch upon some of the users and use cases, and those users are incredible. But I do also want to understand if you can just talk about, either Apache Doris OLAP database or from the StackRocks perspective, who are your users and what are the specific use cases where the project is being used?
Okay, so let me share a couple of use cases with you. One is a company called Airbnb. I'm sure you're familiar with that. They built this internal Minerva project, which is a enterprise-wide metric store, right? So that's where they build this metric store layer to enable business side to be able to run the analytics workload without having to understand the complexity of the underlying technical data storage and access methods. And they selected StarRocks as the driving data service layer in the latest implementation of the Minerva project. And the reason for that is, they need a lot of real-time integration, and they were using a different product and also an open source product from an Apache project, but they were not, that project couldn't meet their requirements for in terms of flexibility and in terms of the total cost of ownership. So they selected StarRocks because we can handle real-time analytics and at the same time greatly simplify the data pipeline, reduce the cost of the overall infrastructure and reduce the cost of developing and maintaining the data pipelines. So they actually gave a speech at the Data and AI Summit earlier this week, and that recording is also available online. And another use case is a social media company. They have over 200 million active users on a monthly base, and they started their journey with on the big data platform, right? Hive and Presto as the analytics engine, and soon they realized they couldn't support the real-time nature of from their customers. And because it's a social media company, they need to be able to make recommendations about advertisement, about product promotions, and all these things. They need to do all these things in real time. So to do a real time implementation, they went with another OLAP database at that time in 2019. That was because that product, also an open source OLAP product, was recognized as with the best OLAP performance at that time. But soon they realized they couldn't support the number of concurrent queries. The reason being, they need to support thousands or tens of thousands of merchants that doing business on their platform. So that translates to 10,000 and more query per second, right? So to support that kind of query loads, their technology at that time just couldn't meet that requirement. So in 2020, 2021, they started evaluating StarRocks, and eventually in 2021, they selected StarRocks as their advertisement data platform because we can provide the best real-time query performance, as well as we support over 10,000 queries per second that constantly hitting that platform 24/7. So I think that those are the two very typical use cases, where you need simplify your data pipeline, but provide best query performance and large number of concurrent users. That's probably the very typical use cases for us.
Thanks for sharing these two big use cases. Now, if I ask you, since the company came into existence, first of all, the interesting thing is in today's world, 2 years can be seen a large. It's like almost a century, or 2 years is like literally nothing, if you compare. But because so many things change ever since the company was launched. So can you also talk about how the whole landscape has changed? Because I think the company was created just when the pandemic hit, and everybody started to rush to cloud native and cloud, which also means that there was a spike in user and use cases, and everything is data driven today's world. So talk about how things have changed ever since the company was created, not only in terms of business needs, but also the volume of data that we are creating.
Yeah. The cloud, right? All the business are moving to the cloud, and all the companies have been continually investing into this online or digital available, right? So even last 2 years or 3 years during the pandemic period, you saw that the internet companies or businesses have been booming, and from the technology standpoint, right, being able to support business in the cloud more effectively and efficiently, and get this helping them to make decisions in real time or near real time, and can provide them a competitive advantage, because now everybody is doing business online. So everybody has all these transaction information, user behavior information available, but how do you make use of that information to drive your business decision? And the freshness of the data and the timeliness of that decision making, that is becoming more and more critical, and for companies to gain a competitive advantage. And that's what we are seeing with our clients. They're asking for a shorter delay between the event is happening to the time that we can use that event to help making the next business decisions. That latency, people want that to reduce from used to be daily based maybe, but now we want to be instantaneous, right? That's why you're seeing the rise of analytics application. The idea is you're combining the latest events happening in your business with all the experience you have collected in your historical data, combine them together, make the most educated, most effective business decision. So I think that's happening across many different industries, and that's why we are seeing StarRocks is being adopted by more and more customers these days.
Can you also kind of talk about, with this growth, with this adoption, not just the growth of cloud native, the adoption of cloud native, but also the growth of amount of data that we are creating? Because as you're talking, every company is collecting or creating some kind of data, so the volume of data is also growing. So can you also talk about what kind of new challenges that you are seeing are there now versus when the company was created, because that also shows how the company itself is evolving to address that need and demand.
Right. So, for example, right, we are continually adding new capabilities or creating new engineering breakthroughs. Uh, the challenges have been facing the OLAP analytics world is, we're used to dealing with data or dealing with these information in the batch mode, right? Like we analyze it on a daily basis, or even sometimes multiple days, right? This is not the won't people don't like that kind of latency anymore, right? But the challenge is, you have the incoming stream of data from like your IoT devices, from your wearable devices, from your web events, but things are changing, right? These are more transaction based. You may have an order being placed, but then you may have order being updated, and order is returned. How is that going to affect your, the next recommendation to the consumer, right? So that used to be a challenge for analytics application, because all the analytical applications are good with new data, but have not been able to processing the changes. We're not able to process changes very effectively or efficiently. And at StarRocks, right, we spend a lot of time on different technologies with different engineering breakthroughs to make sure we can handle those changes and deletes effectively. And we can reflect that in your analytics decision-making process immediately. That is, a breakthrough from StarRocks, and that helped our customers. For example, when those in the healthcare monitoring industry, they are getting these updates all the time, and they want to make sure that information is reflected on the user side immediately, and we were able to help them reach that goal.
Earlier, as you're talking about Airbnb and other folks who were kind of adopting your solutions, I'm also kind of curious if you can talk about who are other players in the space who you guys directly compete with, and what edge you have over others that these players, these vendors choose you over them.
Sure. Yeah, the real-time analytics is still new, not new, but still growing, right? It's relatively young, I would say. A lot of people have been trying. Some people don't even realize the benefit of real-time analytics, and other companies have realized it, but have been struggling because of the technology limits, right? There are other players in this field as well, such as ClickHouse, Apache Druid, Apache Pinot, right? Those are all great technologies. They're all open source products, and we are, we believe that we can work together and grow this business together. In terms of our advantage, I would say number one is we had this breakthrough in the query engine and query planning and query optimizing in that area, so that we address a key challenge in the OLAP world, which is a well-known term by all the data engineers or infrastructure engineers. It's called denormalized wide table problem, right? The idea is, when you have data stored in the relational database in multiple tables, and when you query them, it used to be very difficult to get a good query performance on those multi-table joins when the data volume is large and when the query is complicated analytical queries where you need to run a lot of aggregations and computation. So a lot of pretty much all the other products I mentioned, right? They took this approach, which is called denormalized wide table. Basically, instead of a query against the joint tables directly, the first step is to bring them into a one table where you have all the columns flattened into this one table. Now, you are breaking the normalization rule. You're breaking the relationship constraints, right, in the RDBMS model. But what you get is the query performance on that wide denormalized table. And that's ClickHouse, Druid, Pinode all took that approach. And our breakthrough is through our optimization, our query engine, our parallel execution, leveraging the modern hardware structure, we're able to query the multi-table joins much more efficient. So our query performance is much better when it comes to multi-table join queries. And that because you don't have to build a denormalized table in probably 80% of the scenarios. That greatly simplifies the data pipeline, and it simplifies the effort to build the whole analytics platform. And that's the main reason Airbnb selected us in the new version of their Minerva project, because now suddenly before us they have to build many denormalized tables, and that data pipeline was very hard to maintain, and the delay between for running those populating those tables was very long time. So now with StarRocks, they reduced 80% of those data pipelines, reduced 80% of those denormalized tables, and that makes it much easier to maintain, much cheaper to maintain and to run that platform, and better query performance, and much faster to respond to any business changes. I would say that's probably is the number one differentiator, and that fundamentally changes how you do real-time analytics. From there, right, we also added other capabilities. For example, our materialized view is much more smart, much more advanced. We can update that with your real-time data stream. Our resource management can prevent the platform from any badly planned queries, right? From those queries won't take down the whole cluster. Those are a lot of other enhancements as well. But fundamentally, we change the way how you do real-time analytics by eliminating the need of denormalized wide table. I think that will definitely resonate with many data engineers and or data infrastructure engineers.
How important is open source for StarRocks? And if you can also mention, how you're involved with the project, your contributions there.
Yeah, open source is definitely very important, critical to our success. We truly believe the new technology should be open sourced, and the reason is one is it's easier for people to evaluate, to test out, right? But I think more importantly is being open, right? Have your code available on GitHub. People can examine your code, can even can contribute to your code. This is fundamental to for a high quality software product, right? Everybody can look at your source code, can criticize it, can ask a question, and if they have great ideas, they can even contribute back to this code. So we have a community of developers from different companies are helping us developing new features, and also fixing bugs, improving the products. Right, we work as a truly in a community sense, and we are also contributing back to other projects. We use other open source projects as tooling, as for software development, and even some fundamental building blocks, right? So I think this having a very healthy open source community and even ecosystem, the projects that supporting each other and grow together is critical for the success of not just StarRocks, but also the overall analytics software ecosystem.
Lee, thank you so much for taking time out today and not only talk about the project, the company, but also the larger problem that you're solving with real time. As you said, this is not a it's kind of solved problem, but the challenges are evolving. So is the need for new solutions. So thank you for sharing those. And as usual, I would love to have you back on the show. And as you said, you'll be involved with more community events and you'll be organizing things. So I also hope to see each other more often and would love to collaborate with you folks too. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day, Swap.